Many times we'll have a set of data and we'll want to find one number that best represents this entire data set. These are called measures of center, and there's actually quite a number of different measures of center. In this video, we're going to talk about one in particular called the mode. So let's say we had, for example, just a lot of test grades. These are students, maybe these are the test grades from their previous algebra test. You see some students did very well, scored in the 90s. Some students did not do so well, scored in the 60s or even the 50s in some cases. So how do we find one number that best represents how the class did as a whole? Well, if we're talking about the mode, here's what the mode does. The mode finds the most frequently occurring value. And the thought behind that is if one particular test grade shows up more often than any other test grades, then that means it would possibly be a good representation for how the class did as a whole. So in this example, I see, for instance, that 49 only occurs once, so does 54, so do most of these, but I see that 88 actually occurs 3 times. And so if 3 students accounted for test grades of 88, then maybe that's a good representation for the entire class. Now there are some downsides to the mode though. One is that it might not give you a very high quality measure of center. In fact, it might give you a low quality measure of center, because here, if you allow me a little freedom here, let me fudge these numbers a little bit. Let me change them around. I can construct an example where the mode might give you a terrible measure of center. Let's say instead of 88, 88, 88, maybe this was 88, maybe 89, and 90. Well, then the 88 is obviously no longer the mode. And maybe on the lower test grades, maybe one student scored a 49, and maybe let's say the next student also scored a 49. Well, what would be the mode of this new data set? And granted, I've changed it. This isn't the same class anymore, but I see a 49 occurs twice and no other element occurs 2 times. And so this would say that the mode is 49, but obviously that's a terrible measure of center. So the mode is one of the least reliable measures of center. The upside to the mode is that it's very quick and easy to find. So that's always a good thing. And on some level we understand why the mode might sound like a decent measure of center. Think about the mode's relationship to the mean. If you have 3 students who scored an 88, then obviously when you add these test scores up and divide by 16, which is how many test grades there are, those 88s are going to gravitate the average or the mean towards 88. And so we do see how having one element occurring more frequently than the others could possibly gravitate the measure of center towards the mode.